Okay, hi everybody. My name is Karina Flores. I am going to be reading a horror piece that I wrote for a fiction workshop class. The piece is called Missing. Missing. I'd always had a connection with my sister. We could say so much without saying a word. And I knew that even if we were apart, no matter how far the distance, we were connected somehow. The sound of wind whistled through the dead branches of the decrepit hollow trees that lined up through the woods. The glow of the crescent moon shone through the branches and lit a narrow path ahead of me, but the end was nowhere near, it seemed. I'd been walking for miles with no recollection of how I arrived here. Although the humidity from the fog dampened my skin, my mouth was dry. I could feel my lips crack. My breath felt short. I was desperate for air. There was no one in sight, and I had forgotten who it was I was looking for. Was I looking for anyone? Therese? I could hear the wind's moan. I swiftly moved my head towards the sound. Where was it coming from? How did I end up here? Therese? The voice echoed again. It was soft and young, a woman's voice. Familiar voice. Danny? I called out. The deafening winds whistled and howled even louder than before. Danny, is that you? As soon as the words left my mouth, I realized how crazy I must have sounded. I responded to the winds as if it somehow understood my call. The winds picked up. The rustling of the branches, leaves swaying, harmonized, and I could feel I was in her presence. In my sister's presence. Therese. Therese. Therese! Therese, wake up! I heard a voice echo in my head as I came back to consciousness. The beads of sweat from my forehead had soaked my silk pillows. I could feel the moisture in my scalp. My eyes felt like weighted marbles rattling inside my head, which was pulsating. My right hand felt tingly. I could feel the blood rushing through as I finally uncoiled it from the weight of my head. It felt like a hangover. Therese? Are you okay? You were talking in your sleep again and your eyes were doing that fluttering shit, Nick mimicked as he motioned with his hands. I looked up at him, bewildered and slightly embarrassed. I could feel my cheeks flush. Huh? I was talking in my sleep? I sleepily managed to muster out through my parched lips. Yeah. You were doing it again. You were calling out for Danny. I lay frozen. I hadn't dreamt about my sister in a while. There had been times when that's all I could dream about, especially those first few weeks after her disappearance. I was heavily medicated and blamed the drugs for my hallucination and reoccurring dreams. Nick rested his hand on my arm, slowly brushing it up and down to try to soothe me as I came to. I sat up and cupped my face. I couldn't find her, I struggled to say. My words choked as I tried to find the strength to get them out. I could hear her. It was dark. I couldn't find her. It's okay. Nick's voice had dropped an octave as he continued to run his hands up and down my arm and his hand finally landed and interlocked with mine. He used his free one to lift my chin to face him. Do you want to make an appointment? My body tensed as soon as he said it. I didn't want to go back to a psychiatrist. They make you feel crazier than you really are. I motioned my head no. There was no way I was going back to the drugs. No. I'll manage somehow, but not with that poison. Baby, I worry about you. I don't want you to end up like last time, he said in a hushed voice. You mean a zombified mess? I said, trying not to sound bitter. I knew exactly what he meant, but I didn't want to admit it. Danny's disappearance took a toll on me, and as much as I didn't want to admit it, I was rendered useless. There'd be days when sleeping seemed impossible, and my appetite was non-existent. It had been 4 years. 4 of the longest years. Okay, that was an excerpt from my horror story, Missing. I just want to say to the class, thank you all for sharing your stories. I am glad that I got to share this experience with you all. Dr. Carmona, thank you for the class. I hope to see you all again in the future. So thank you for listening. Goodbye.